This TV show has invaded our territory. We can infiltrate them.
But first I must go to Crafty to fetch taffy for Scripty.
You have been seduced by the siren of show business.
That gear is for crew only.
Someone's jealous of my swag.
You guys want to play Pictionary?
If it's anything like reading a dictionary, then yeah, I do.
I think her vagina is pulsing for you.
FX's What We Do in the Shadows. All new Monday at 10 on FX. Stream on Hulu.
Don't sing if you wanna live long. They have no use for your song. You're dead, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead and out of this world. You'll never get a second chance. Plan all your moves in advance. Stay dead, stay dead, stay dead, stay dead and out of this world. Shadows light, baby.
You're listening to League Podcast, the Vampire Council, and What We Do in the Shadows podcast, season 6, episode 8, PI Undercover New York. That's the name of the episode. I'm Matt Durson.
Clay Inferno here, one of your Vamp Counselors.
Yes, we just thought of that. Oh, you thought of it earlier. You just told me that we are Vamp Counselors.
What, you know what it is? Like, my brain is such Swiss cheese. I was like thinking like, oh yeah, we must have thought of that before.
No, I don't.
But I think it was a new thought because it's short.
Yes, it is. It's short. But I also think we're vamping. You know, we vamp. It's so many levels. Because we're not camp counselors, we're vamp counselors. Because we vamp and we talk about vampires. Oh my God.
I would have no patience for actual camp counseling.
No, me neither. Did you have my brother as a camp counselor, by the way? I feel like you did.
You keep asking me about stuff that I've never been involved with ever. Never went to summer camp, never done any gambling. I didn't go to CCD.
Oh, well, CCD is not fun. But we have friends, mutual friends, who went to what, I'll just say it. It was called Eager Beaver Day Camp. And my brother was a counselor there briefly. There you go.
I was a Boy Scout, but I didn't do Eager Beaver.
You didn't? I didn't either, which is kind of hilarious because I think it would have made life easier for my mom, who had to drop my brother off and then just find something to do with me. But I was like, I'm not going to that. You know, like during summer vacation.
Yeah, we should say that the motto for our hometown is the Indian word for the land of many beaver. So that's
right.
Eager Beaver comes from.
That's right. It has nothing to do with that other meaning of beavers. But yeah, that was the name of our hometown. Yeah, the old indigenous people's name. I wonder if it's offensive. I don't know. Like, I wonder if that really is true or they kind of made that up or something. So many issues. It's so problematic to talk about indigenous people and stuff. But that's the story we were told.
It's on our town seal and stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm sure it's
I think
fine.
there's a certain reverence for the people that first lived there, as much as I was saying the other day, like, I don't know whether I should brag that I can trace my lineage back to the Mayflower, but it's not Christopher Columbus.
Right.
Like, our people on the Mayflower were like, could you please help us? Like the whole Thanksgiving thing, which is we're around the holidays now, in general holidays.
The holidays.
The pilgrims from the Mayflower, they were like starving. And the Native Americans were like, you guys should have some of this corn. Like, you guys are fucked. Like, let's help you out. And it helped them out a lot.
And then, they probably gave them syphilis and drove them off our land. I don't know. Who knows? But we're not going to talk about that anymore. It's bad. But anyways, this is the latest episode of What We Do in the Shadows. It's called PI Undercover New York, and that is the name of a show, a police procedural, as they say, that is filming on Staten Island, right on the street that the vampires live on. Have they ever named the street? I feel like they have, but I don't remember what it
I
is.
don't know. That's a good question. Good trivia question.
Yeah. Yeah, so Nandor is walking home and a guy stops him and says, "Oh, you can't go in. We're filming." Or, and he's like, "Oh," like Nandor's kind of excited because first he's just like, "I live here." Well, he says, "We're shooting," the guy says. And he's like, "What are you shooting? Children, criminals, or whatever." He doesn't say children, dogs. Yeah, that was the other. Yeah, he doesn't say children. He says dogs, criminals. He's very excited. He wants to shoot criminals. And the guy's like, yeah, it's like these little, everybody who works on this. Now, obviously, Nandor is tall. He's a big dude anyway, but I feel like all the people they find to work on this set of this show are like really small just to make them look so much more bigger. And the
Yeah.
people, the crew members look kind of weenie and small.
Mhm.
But yeah, this guy's like, I'm not really sure. And of course, he's on a headset because that's what you do on sets, so everyone can communicate. And it's like, okay, and like, okay, so I'm just gonna say, yeah, it's been a long time since I've been on a movie set, but I have been on a movie set, and it's chaotic and insane, and yeah. So I majored in film and then didn't have any desire to actually work on a set because it sucks. It's so hard. The days are it's like 16-hour days. You get like
Yeah.
minutes of the movie filmed, and it's just like, oh god, I can't.
I've been meaning to watch. I mean to ask you, have you been watching the franchise on HBO?
No, no, I have not.
The franchise is great because it's Sam Mendes from James Bond
Oh, yeah,
and
I love Sam Mendes.
Armando Iannucci. I think I said his name right, from Veep and all the other funny things we like. They made a show that is a spoof of being on the movie set for basically like a Marvel franchise movie, but it's not the big one. It's not the tentpole one. It's like Ant-Man Quantumania.
And yeah, right.
And and it's really funny because I think the guy's named Daniel Bruhl, the guy he was in Captain America. He plays the director.
Civil War. He's also on Falcon and Winter Soldier and Inglorious Bastards, which is one of my favorites. But yeah, I
And
know that guy,
he plays like a foreign director that's like brought in because he's such a genius filmmaker. I know you like Veep. It has the same sort of like Veep comedy, but set in like how they're filming this like second or third tier gigantic Marvel movie. Like Richard Grant is in it, playing like, they get big actors to do cameos in it and stuff. Like this episode is like, it's a whole series about that, how they're making this movie and how they have to like do all these rewrites and the previs, and they do like really funny, it's like a send up of these gigantic Marvel movies. It's really good.
No, I'll
Really
have
good.
to check it out. Yeah, it sounds like it's right up my alley. I mean, when you watch those, I don't know if you've ever watched, like every time they do a Marvel movie, they do something called like Assembled. And it's basically like a making of. It's like the old DVD making of documentaries
Yeah.
kind of a thing.
Yep.
Like the DVD extras or digital whatever extras. And like every time I watch that, I'm like, oh my God. Like they were talking. So the Deadpool and Wolverine one came out recently, and I was watching that. And it was,
Oh, I
they
should
were
watch
talking about, yeah, it's fun, but like, because they use a lot of practical, it's almost, but like, they talk about how many days it took to shoot like one thing, like that was like a minute of the movie. It spent like 2 weeks, what I
filming to our emergency Deadpool and Wolverine episode came.
Sure, we did do an episode on that over the summer.
The one summer blockbuster.
That's right, basically. But like, it just in general, I'm just like, oh my God, like, how do you not feel? Is it a wonder a lot of these Hollywood people are on drugs or something? Like it's like insane the amount of work that goes into something kind of minuscule or whatever, which is cool in a way, but also like what it must do to your psyche or something,
Yeah, they definitely go into that in the latest episode of the franchise, because they're like just giving the previs guys all these changes. He's like, I haven't seen my children in weeks. I'm working 18-hour days.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. But the difference on this one is that Nandor is convinced that they are under attack because they talk about shooting and everything and all that and cutting, I guess.
And then as soon as he walks on set, he's like, Brad needs me to do this. And he goes, well, who's Brad? And he goes, Brad is 10-1, which I don't know if that means something. Maybe it's like his radio call or something. And he goes, oh, he's quite a big guy. And then they have to like, no, he's like, don't walk here. We're about to shoot. Just hold on a second. Just hold on a second. And he's impatient, so he breaks the assistant's neck and he fucking chucks him onto the house. Like totally he's like killing this guy.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of violent for this show. But it's hilarious. My God. But yeah,
And he thinks that this guy is 10 feet tall and 1 inch. Because he says Brad is 10-1. He's like, what?
yeah, he's a big guy. But he runs in, and Laszlo and Colin are kind of just sitting there, and he's like, "Oh, we're under attack." Colin Robinson's talking about it's like, no, they're just filming a show called Private Investigator, and he looks it up.
Undercover New York.
Undercover New York. I don't know why I can't remember that Undercover. What the
It's like it's I think it's supposed to be also like when you say it, it's like puny.
Yeah,
Like
well,
puny
Guillermo does.
puny humans.
But I love Colin Robinson's reading down, and he starts to read the reviews because first he reads like, oh, the premise of the show and whatever.
It's like winsomely compelling propaganda. See Rob 69. Oh wait, that's me.
Oh wait, that's me. And it's like a really fun, quick little, because then they cut right back to like Laszlo and Nandor. And I love Laszlo has his little face, one-on-one with the camera, and he says, Nandor thinks everything is a war, but this time he's right. And they like zoom in on his face.
Yeah, he flies up to the camera. And there was another little funny joke too at the beginning before he kills that guy, because he goes, we got to get the dolly shot. And then Nandor goes, no, Nadja's gonna be really upset if you shoot her little
No
dog.
shooting of dollies.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of little behind the scenes talks that I don't know from being on a movie set or anything, but like I know from watching Avengers Assembled plenty of times.
Well, this is probably shit that they do or talk about on set, like between, right? Can you just imagine Matt Berry and like Kayvan, Novak, just like kind of riffing on like what's going on while they're shooting or whatever,
Oh yeah, I feel as though with a lot of that. Yeah, and especially when he like Laszlo. It's like later in the episode, but Laszlo is like talking about how like the director is like a tin pot dictator, but really the writer is the brains behind the whole operation, which is obviously written by a writer for the actor to say, and like calling actors like pieces of shit.
Yeah, like dimwits or whatever, or half-wits or fuckwits or whatever he says.
It's so funny. It's so funny because they're just like totally making fun of their whole thing, like
their own profession. Yeah. But yeah, so they actually do end up going over because like someone drives a van through their fence. And then I love the guy who comes out. He's like, oh, geez, here's the owner. Like the guy, he's like, it's all right. Insurance will cover it. Yeah. It's like, oh my God. Can you imagine? But yeah, meanwhile, so this was funny. As much as I'm a Hollywood, guy, and I kind of enjoy that, like those in jokes or whatever. I love this. I guess you would call it the B plot because the title of the episode is Private Investigator Undercover New York, but this other plot I love. So Colin Robinson is looking in the mirror, just it's like almost like sanding it, like with his bald head. It's like he's like brushing it, but he has like no hair.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, he's like, oh yeah, you stud. He's like looking at the mirror, and he's really in love with himself. And Nadja comes out, is like, oh, look at you.
You creamy snake.
Yeah. And he's like, so he's going to see his friend Joel, and he and Joel worked together and they became pals.
And she's like, you don't have any friends. How come you haven't met them? It's like, I have friends. I have the monster and I have Joel.
Yeah. So he's got two friends, So she wants to go with him because she's loving this human interaction. She says small amounts of human interaction. And this is classic. Like, I love this Nadja because she's like she references so many things that we all know. Like, it's all there, but like you don't think of it that much, I guess. But like,
Yeah,
she
like the
says
small
stuff.
talk stuff.
Yeah, right. And that sexy city show, like, or whatever, like we started with Sex in the City. And we know we're both Mirandas. We just found out today, just so you know, because
Yeah, everybody can write in and let us know which Sex and the City character you're at. bat@vampcouncil.com. But we both took the quiz today. I think I prompted Durson to take it because I came up Miranda. And what else were you doing but saying I need to find out who I am?
Absolutely. I was gonna send you the whole thing again, but I was like, well, he already sent it to me, so it doesn't matter. But I also got Miranda. I really like Charlotte. I don't know. I don't really like it. I only watched like a few episodes when I used to live with a female roommate, and she liked it. But Charlotte was, she was pretty, and like I said, she was one of Jerry's girlfriends on the episode where she is more my type for sure, but she also, she's one of the few people who got one up on Jerry. And I always thought it was a funny episode.
Yeah. Oh, and you know what's funny too is because like Nadja even like references that in her small talk. She's like, I took the Harold Potter test and I came up Slytherin. LOL. Like one of the things she wants to say. So we took the test.
So we took the test. But anyway, so first he's like, what is he? He says to her, like, I think if I show up with someone dressed in a Civil War, like a Civil War ghost widow or something.
I wrote it down. Okay. Like he said, well, also like when Joel called him on the phone, he does this whole thing where he said, yeah, do you want to come over, brah? And it's like, yeah, like how's 7 or 7:30, brah? And I said, yeah, brah. They keep saying it.
Because we say that a lot, actually. I do it to you. I mean, you don't say it to me as much, but
yeah,
I always thought it was really funny. I'd like to say, hey, are we podcasting tonight, brah? But like I do it as a joke, and I think Colin Robinson was being,
you're being an energy vampire. But he goes, she wants to go with him, and he goes, I think that I really want to be like rekindle my friendship with him and be like, have like a normal like friendship. And it's like, I think if I showed up with a nightmare in a Civil War ghost dress, I worry it might and then he pauses like, freak him the fuck out.
freak the fuck out. Then eventually he just says, fuck it. Why not? Like he just says, sure, come on. Like, hey, you gotta Colin is really he's still an energy vampire, but sometimes he plays it nice and loose. He's like, sure, fuck it.
Yeah, and then because she kind of convinces like maybe you like might show up, you'd be like Mr. Biggs from the Sexy City show with the mousy woman on your arm. He's like, okay, sure, fuck it.
The Sexy City show. I love that she called that. But this was a nice surprise, although it was spoiled on the commercial. But Joel is played by Zach Woods. Jared
love
Silicon Valley and
love Zach Woods. You gotta follow him on Instagram because he does kind of really absurdist Instagram reels, and like he has like a fake assistant that he's always like degrading. It's really funny. His just comedy is it's right up my alley because he's got that deadpan thing. You know what I mean? Like
he
says stuff
so
like, whoa.
Yeah, because he doesn't say it with any, like, his voice is like sort of not monotone, but you know what I mean? Like he doesn't say jokes like, and then like we're like, there's like a crescendo or anything. It's just his lines are so, it's like when they walk in, like they go to the door and I forget what Nadja says. She says something completely ridiculous, in her like, I think she makes fun of, or doesn't make fun of, she says, I like your top. Because that's what like women say to each other. Where did you get it? Or whatever. And I love it. He says, I never know if people are on drugs.
Yeah. That was really
it's like, what a brilliant line. But I think in his, like I don't know who came up with it or whatever, but like delivered by him. And it's so funny. I never know I can never tell if people are on drugs.
And then he's like looking at the camera crew and he's like, "What's all this?" And he's like, "Oh, my girlfriend." You know, because he's like,
Well, he says my
Had to-
girlfriend. I love he keeps saying like he puts the access on friend as not to be like
yeah, like,
girlfriend is
two-
one
or like, yeah, he's saying it like two different words.
yeah, my girlfriend.
She's a big YouTuber, and they just kind of go, "Oh, okay," like, yeah, that's and oh yeah, she's like, "I'm a huge YouTuber." Just you can do the
Like it.
you just search for Carrie Bradshaw walking, and you can find me there, which I did do. You know,
Oh,
like
really?
all of it's just there's like so many videos of just her from the show, or just Sarah Jessica Parker walking in New York City. There's one where she falls. So that one's like hoping to find a good Easter egg in there, but or just like I think it's because there's so many of her just walking down the street. There must be like 1,000 videos of that.
I feel like that was a thing in the 90s. That was like a thing they did on shows a lot. Like you would be walking and like thinking, like the character would be like sort of like, oh,
Oh yeah. Or
thinking
she's like
over the
it's like kind of like thought balloon style, or like she's writing her
she's
her thing.
yeah,
And
she's
she
like
does, yeah,
yeah, there's a voiceover.
narrating it, yeah.
Yeah. It's great to see though Zach Woods. I mean, he will always be Jared from Silicon Valley to me, but yeah, he is funny in this. But we meet his wife as well, who is Kim Quinlan, Becky, and you can kind of tell from the beginning that there's a little bit of tension, but we don't really know what's going on because I think Colin Robinson did say, or he says it at one point that they were having trouble. So yeah, she yells at him a lot.
But it's kind of like it is like a one-sided thing. Like if Colin really just wants to be friends with Joel, like that's his only goal.
Yes.
Which we'll get there, but
We'll get
it's all
there,
he
right,
it's all he wants out of this situation.
exactly. But we got to go back to the Laszlo and Nandor and Guillermo storyline because now they go and wake up Guillermo because they still think they're under attack, and they start going through his shed and like they get some weapons like Laszlo gets like a mace.
And it kind of an obvious thing too, but like yeah, Guillermo like works at night, but they're vampires. They're awake at night, and he like kind of apologetically is like, "Oh, I must have fallen asleep," but it's
Yeah, when
completely
does this guy
reasonable
sleep?
for him to be asleep. You know what I mean? Because it's nighttime, right?
I feel like they play with although like I said they film long hours, so of course they're going to be shooting well into the night. But yeah, Guillermo, I don't know when that guy sleeps. Anyway, yeah, it's like he was Laszlo picks up one of those shower caddies. He's like, well, not this, we need weapons, not any of
Yeah,
this.
this is fancy nonsense or whatever. Yeah, because he needs to take that little shower caddy into their house. So he's like, "You guys are out of hot water." Like when you're living in a dorm or something, and you have like a little thing.
So they tell him that it's private investigator undercover in New York, and he's like, "Oh, that's the show!" Like he's very excited because he says it's a great thing to binge on a rainy day or whatever.
Yeah, and it's like his favorite thing. It's like us with what we do in the shadows. He has instead of a podcast though, he makes a fanzine, which were also very popular in the 90s.
Those were yeah.
He cosplays as the main character at Comic-Con and stuff, and he was really into the show.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I mean, to do he like he gets all excited. He runs up to like the wall, like sort of the fence, to look out and see what, like oh, if he can see what is the guy's name, Cam Bodier or something like that, or whatever his name is. But it's played by Kevin Pollak, who is really who I like a really good actor, and I really like Kevin Pollak. If you like
Oh yeah, he's great.
Usual Suspects and other, like he's
And
been in
he's
a
a
lot.
good he's actually, if you call it like, he's in our generation of podcasting too. He's like been a podcaster since it started, basically. He's been a
Oh, shit.
podcast for a long time. Yeah.
Oh, how about that? Good for him. I should look it up. But yeah, he plays the lead. And I love Guillermo's looking over. He's like, oh, there is. He gets set early. He always has a muffin, like a bran muffin and some tea. Like he knows his whole routine and everything like that. It is funny. Like that must be another thing, like dealing with fans or something, like another aspect that they probably talked about on set. And like, how about these weirdo fans or something, I don't know if What We Do in the Shadows is that kind of show that people binge, but that they're out there.
Oh yeah,
Sure.
Well, we're out here making a whole podcast.
Right. We're out here, but we don't like write into Matt Berry or whatever. We don't know what kind of like meal he has before he shoots.
The second, the penultimate time. I'm probably not using that right. Not the last time I went, but the time before that. So yeah, I guess it's penultimate time I went to Comic-Con with Stacy. Harvey was there, and we were really excited to like go to his panel and like watch like they played like 15 minutes of an episode or something. But we were like we were just happy that he was there, and then we get to see him in person. Like 50 feet away on the stage, but I get to see him in person. I was like really psyched.
Yeah, I mean, well, there are levels.
Kind of, yeah. I would have that kind of reaction to him too, probably if he was just roaming the halls of Comic-Con, which he wasn't. To keep those guys pretty, locked in, but
right. But he's very excited. So they're not really like, but Laszlo and Nandor are so convinced that they're like marshaling their forces to take over. Even though Laszlo seems to understand like that this is Hollywood, like this is a show. I don't quite, it's kind of weird.
They do say, they use some terms that are like, some production system is walking by and she goes like, yeah, I'm going down to base camp and then I have to stop by the video village. And then they go, we have to storm the base camp and take over the video village.
Yeah, so I guess I could see they are a little, the terminology does get a little confusing, but they just go on to the set.
Yeah.
Which is also not that
and they try to find the director, and we already.
Well, first they realize like they talk to Kevin Pollak, and and like Guillermo's like, oh, like yeah, how is your muffin? Like, and he's trying to push his fanzine on. He's like, do you read any of the fanzines? And he wants him to sign it or whatever. And Kevin Pollak like, no. Nandor's like convinced that he's like, oh, like, like maybe I can feed you, like he said, or Laszlo is the one, right? He's like some succulent Chinese food,
which is that was the name I said, yeah. He's like, are you sure I can't tempt you with a succulent Chinese meal? That guy died, by the way. The guy that, but I don't even know why he was like getting arrested for some. He goes, this is democracy manifest. But yeah, they worked the meme into the show, which they have done before. But I was, I don't know that everyone knows that meme, so that's why I sent it to you. So
I did not know that.
Succulent Chinese meal.
Succulent Chinese. Yeah, they are that after then Laszlo realizes that this is not the person we want. Like he is an actor, and I forget what he says. He says something about how dumb. He's a simpleton who paints his face. He's an empty-headed puppet who thinks the world loves him, when in actual fact, he is nothing more than a lapdog begging for scrap. So yeah, then he says, we must find the one they call the director.
Yeah, and they go to a trailer that says 1AD, which is like the first assistant director, so he's not the director. But they're like, we're going in there, and Nandor like goes into the trailer to conquer him or whatever, and Laszlo's just outside and goes, nice day out, isn't it? Blah blah blah. And then when Nandor comes out, he's got like a safety vest on, a headset, and he's like, and I think it's because he had killed that other production assistant, right? Killed that other guy. He's like, now I'm a production assistant. It just made me a production assistant because it's short staff.
I know that must be it.
I have to go to Crafty to get taffy for the scripty.
Yeah.
He's walking over to the craft table. He's like, "What is taffy?"
I love it. Laszlo was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And he has been seduced when he says that line with the crafty in the script. He's like, "You have been seduced by the lure of show business," or something like that. But yeah, I love like and like when they go and he's hitting cans. He's just hitting on headphones through and
Cans,
headphones to can. Yeah, and the guy's like, "I'm wearing cans already." But I mean, you think like these movies or these shows, like they're all like everything is so like it's got to be so organized or whatever. Like everything's got to work perfectly to get every shot, but they are kind of disorganized. So yeah, like
Yeah.
a guy wandering around looking like that, saying cans, you need cans. Like it's not. No one's gonna bother to be like, "Hey, are you supposed to be here?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
it doesn't matter.
Also, I know you haven't seen it, but also they do a lot of stuff in the franchise. What's really good about this too is much like when Colin showed up in the office in the last episode, they don't really stick out, and you're not surprised to see a lot of people because they even say that like with movie stars, they're like they were my family for 6 months and then I never saw them again. But it might be a really important movie to a lot of fans or something. You think they're
Right.
that like Scarlett Johansson and Mark Ruffalo are like best friends and they see each other all the time or something. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
but it's not really like that. So a random person walking around doing cans is probably just one of 100 people you might meet that year doing that job. Like you just don't even care that there's some rando.
Absolutely. It is funny, like it is kind of the same like as in The Office. Like you said, like people sometimes come and go and you're like, "Oh, okay, I'm just gonna believe you are whoever you say you are." Like I said,
I
you say
get
you're from
that.
HR.
Yeah, I guess that's an HR guy. Or
Yeah.
I guess that's a guy I've never seen before, but he's obviously like got a wrench in his hand. So I guess that's the plumber. I've never had to see him before, but the sink.
I know. And
Okay.
yeah, this guy handing out cans, he must work here. You know what I mean? He must be part of the crew because you don't know everybody. These crews are massive, and they find these people sometimes. Like when I was in LA, I got to work on one movie and they just sent me out there and they're like, "Here's your headset." And I was like, "What do I do?" And they said, "Go down to the extras and just make sure that they come up when we call them." I was like, "Okay." Like, whatever. Like, but I had no idea. Like, and I
Yeah.
could have left. Like, no one would even have cared. I wasn't getting paid. I was doing it for the experience. Like, I could have just been like, "Fuck it." Like, no one
Right.
knew who I was or anything.
Right.
Like, it was so weak.
I
So,
was also gonna say like there's a similarity with like backstage stuff too because you came with me like Fenway show.
oh yeah.
And then, but also like I've worked like music festivals where like almost that exact same thing could happen. There would just be like you don't know everybody there. There's a lot of people making stuff happen. There's catering, there's like, production assistants working on sound, and then there's like the artists and their entourage. And like you could probably walk in any music festival with a walkie talkie and just walk right by all the security and everything. No one would say anything to you. If you had dressed like you were working, no one would ask for your pass or anything. Never.
Yeah. I mean, it's been done on sitcoms a lot before too. Like Kramer was in an office and just he happened to like bang on the copier and fix it, and they thought he worked. They're like, "Come on, he called an emergency meeting," and Kramer just went and he worked there for like a week until the guy was like, "I have to let you go," and Kramer's like, "I don't even work here."
Right.
It was one of the funniest moments, but yeah, like no one questioned what he was doing there, like it's just you think everything is so as a kid, I guess. You think everything is more organized than it really is. You could just walk in, like you said, you could walk in behind the scenes of a show, you could walk on a movie set probably and just no one's gonna be like, "Hey, what are you doing here, guy?" As
Yeah.
long as you look like you belong and you hand out cans or whatever, or it's fine. I do want to say too, when they do focus on the director, I think he has one line or something. The director is actually played by Kyle Newacek. So
Yeah.
I love that little bit.
Yeah, they probably filled all of those roles with like might
Right,
not be the
people who
actual
actually
writer, but it was probably all people on the set, already.
Yeah. But yeah, it was probably people who were already there. But meanwhile, so we have to go back though, because I want to go back to Colin Robinson and Joel. And so Nadja and Becky, his wife, yeah, when they go there, he's like, oh, hey, oh, hecky, hey, Becky, or whatever Colin Robinson says. But so Nadja and Becky are talking in the kitchen, which I guess it's funny because that is kind of like a thing that happens, but like you don't really
Yeah.
plan it, I guess. But yeah, like she's like, oh, the women will go into the kitchen to talk about whatever, like. So they're talking, and she's like, is he happy? Becky is questioning. She's like, is Colin happy? And she's like, Nadja has no idea,
Yeah, right. She doesn't know how to respond.
Right. She's like, oh, because this is my favorite line. Like she says, like, because she's like, no, Colin is deep. Because she's like, oh, the men are just talking about their bowels. It sounds like she says like bowels. She's saying their ouch my balls or whatever is what she said.
Yeah, yeah.
But it sounds like it's almost like she says bowls or something. She's like, my bowels. It's so funny. And she's like really trying, but completely failing. And if you paid any attention, if he was actually talking to you, you'd be like, what is this person saying? Like, but
Right.
what is she says? Ouch, my men just like talking about ouch, my bowel.
She said something else later. She says, so well, and it sounds really weird. See, whoa.
But anyway,
Yeah, the guys are in the living room, and Colin has gone to special lengths to get Joel like a special gift, like it's a rookie baseball card or something.
yeah, Mike Piazza,
Yeah.
Mets catcher for many years.
Yeah, yeah. And then he's like, "Yeah, you must be really." Yeah, I thought we wouldn't even be able to get together because the pitchers and catchers are about to report. And he's like, "No, I don't really watch baseball anymore because of the rule changes." And he's like heartbroken. He's like, "Oh, I." And then he goes into the bathroom and he's like, "I just watched every Mets game for the past 7 years, and even for me, baseball is slow and boring." And he's like, "That's time I'll never get back." So he's like, "What are you into now?" And they say, "Top Chef." So he like kind of I don't know how he learns all this information, but while he's in the bathroom, he learns all this stuff about Top Chef.
Yeah, and like the seasons, he actually name drops Tiffany Faison, who was a local celebrity chef from this area. Very well. She's got some restaurants around here. But yeah, he's like, oh, on season 3 of Top Chef, like he's like looking at his phone while he's yelling.
Yeah, he's like screaming.
That salmon smells good. Like,
yeah,
I hope it's as good as Tiffany Faison. Yeah, so he's only doing this, like you pointed out, because he wants to be friends with Joel. Like he doesn't care about anything else.
I said no gifts, but I don't hate it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the Mike Piazza card. So, but finally, so wait, there is another because Nadja and Colin are so sort of pretending to be boyfriend and girlfriend, which is so funny because she like
weird kisses.
I know, because she's totally like kind of like rah. He's like, all right, that's enough. Or no, and then he tries to kiss her once, and she's like, no, and she like whacks him away.
And he's like, I don't get you at all.
Yeah. But finally she says, I think she is rock hard for you. Is that what she said? I forget. The expression rock hard was in there, but she basically tells Colin Robinson that Becky has a thing for him. But I think he says her vagina is rock hard or something.
Yeah, her vagina is
rock hard.
Like, did you ever, wasn't there ever a thing between you two? He's like, no, I just, I listened to her, but I just wanted Joel to be happy. I just, I wanted them to get back together, but, I wasn't really interested in her. And she's like, yeah, her vagina is pulsating for you.
Pulsating. So he's like, So I kind of like this subtle thing too. Like Joel says, Colin, can you come come into the hallway because he wants to be away from the cameras. But of course, the cameras are always catching it, but they kind of film it in such a way so that Joel like wouldn't think they were still filming. And he says,
Yeah.
"Will you fuck my wife?" Because he's so like, "Oh yeah, this hallway's nice." I love that like Colin Robinson is so clueless. He's like, "Oh yeah, this hallway's really nice," or whatever.
Like, I need you to fuck my wife.
I need
And
you to fuck.
Colin's like, do you think that's like, he's just kind of confused. He's like, do you think that's like whatever? And he's like, something she would be ravenous for? And he's like, yeah. And it's the only thing that's keeping our marriage alive. And then he goes,
Weird.
then it's the best thing. He goes, if it's any consolation, I'll be there the whole time.
Oh, isn't that so? It's so perfect too. It's Zach Woods delivers it so well. But yeah, I'll be there the whole time. I don't think that's selling Colin Robinson on the thing, but yeah, like, it's pretty funny. So yeah, when they go back to like the four of them, it's kind of funny because that Nadia is still just sort of talking, and she said something about the bathroom. He's like, "Oh yeah, I got the tiles. We looked." Oh, she said, "No, this is what she said. You can't find a handyman anywhere." And she said,
Yeah, right.
I love it's like this white person dinner talk or whatever.
Yeah.
You just can't find a handyman anywhere. He's like, "Oh yeah, tell me about it." And he starts talking about how he did their bathroom himself, and she's like, "Yeah," and like his wife is all like, "Yeah, you screwed it up" or whatever. Like,
Yeah, he's like,
and it's really boring.
yeah, like I got these beautiful vintage tiles from this guy in Queens. She's like, they're just regular tiles. And yeah, because there's this whole thing where she's like, the fire alarm goes off or it doesn't go off, but she
Right,
smells
it
the
doesn't
sand
go
and
off.
burning, and she's like, "Told you to fucking." There's like that tense thing when you're around couples and they're like saying passive aggressive shit to each other, and you're just listening.
I know.
Oh,
And he's all like, "Well, I guess everything is my fault," and whatever. Yeah, there is that like you're just like, oh god, I don't want.
yeah. Then when it comes to the bathroom, it's like oh, should I go see? Yeah, let's go see it. Yeah, let's go see it. It's like not as like, is it dangerous? It's Becky's just like, it's boring.
Yeah, she's not impressed.
And Joel's like, I guess I'm just a big fucking idiot because I saved us a bunch of money and it fucking looks great. It's
so
like I
good,
want her
right?
to crawl out of there. That was like curb level, like uncomfortable.
It was. I know it's at least it ends quickly, so you're like, okay, phew. But yeah, like if you were ever when people encounter that, when I encounter that in real life, I'm like, oh god, don't.
Oh, it's even worse if it's like your family and you're like, what did he do to deserve that?
But anyway, so this leaves Becky and Colin Robinson alone, and she's like, "Oh, come sit over here." She's on like the couch, and then she's like, pats her labs, like, "You can sit here." No, just kidding. But like,
She's showing a lot of leg and
yeah, she is.
and
Yeah, that is even. It's almost more creepy than because you know what she wants, and she's driving at it, and he's just kind of like, yeah, he doesn't really know how to handle this because his thing is Joel.
yeah, she's like, don't you remember those talks we used to have? And then, she's all sentimental. I just want to make sure you're happy and blah, blah, blah. Throwing it at him.
And no, she's throwing that. I mean, it would have been funny. Colin Robinson could have gotten some. Eventually, they leave, and I love it. He's because like Joel is like, I told them like. It's like they had this agreement or something. You know what I mean? Like he's like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah, they're like, they have like music playing. They come out of the bathroom and she not just like protective of Colin. She's like, well, let's get you out of here then, And then when they walk back in, they're like drinking wine and like playing music and dancing together. It's like, oh, why don't you join us? There's plenty of room here. Like, no, like not just like I've been promising myself to go to this Pilates class in the morning.
That's right. She just said,
And Colin's like, our dance card is pretty full. And then they all like leave. They're kind of like trying to leave, and they're like, oh, good night, go. And then Colin's like, hey, maybe we should go bowling next week. And then the best line ever. which is I'll say it. So it's like, yeah, little boys time. Yeah, we'll go bowling, and then you can come back and fuck my wife. And then they like kind of scurry out of there, and then when the couple is like kind of like like Becky's even like trying to kiss Colin or Nadja on the way out, and then like the camera crew's kind of like rushing to follow them out of there, and then you see like Joel like go like, "Hey, come on!" like to the camera guys for just a split second, like if they're gonna leave, well, why don't you just come in and why don't you do it for me?
Somebody's got to have sex with this guy's wife.
Yeah, it's really really funny because yeah, it's just the perfect Zach Woods like delivery, like you were saying, like he's just deadpan, and he's like, yeah, we'll have a little boys' night, and then you can come back here and fuck my
back
wife.
and fuck my wife. Oh my god, it is brilliant. It's so there's something, he only has like a few lines in the whole episode, but they're all so good. He's delivering them so well. At one point they were gonna play. He's like, "Does anyone want to play Pictionary or whatever?" And even that, like, he's like, "Does anybody want to be Pictionary?" And Colin Robinson says, "Oh, if it's anything like reading a dictionary, yeah, I'm down."
Yeah.
We'll see. That's probably the last we'll see of him, but that's okay. But that would have been a funny sort of thing. It is that thing though. You're right. Like when you're at someone's house or whatever in any kind of social situation, and like a couple kind of starts fighting, you're like, oof, oh jeez.
Immortalized in I have mentioned before, I was in a band called Wild Zero, and immortalized
Zero.
in a Wild Zero song called Sex Tarp.
Sex tarp.
I showed up with my girlfriend at a place, and the setup of this is kind of funny too. This guy was running his dad's storage facility, you know, like where you like a storage space thing, but he had like an apartment next to it. And we show up there to like, you know, to be honest, to like drink and do drugs and stuff. But we went to dinner to a couple's house, let's say. And we went there, and then we had to leave kind of like Colin and Nadja when they were like, let's pull out the sex tarp. Like as if I was gonna be involved in some weird when we got out of
Swinger kind of deal.
yeah, it was like a swinger kind of thing. And
Wow.
yeah, maybe
Sex tarp.
yeah, so you can stream that on Spotify, Wild Zero Sex Tarp, to kind of hear the lyrics of that song. But yeah, not proud to say, but hey, at least I got a song out of it.
There you go.
I've been in that situation before.
At least you got out of there. You didn't involve yourself in the. Oh, maybe who knows? Right? People
Yeah.
do it. No judgment.
Yeah,
No
no
judgment.
judgment. It's just not
You
for me.
want to do that, right? Right.
I'm more of a French fry guy. You like rice? Go for it. You know.
That's right. We all like what we like. Meanwhile, so speaking of like on the set, Laszlo sees Nandor wearing a sweated shirt, as he calls it. It's just a sweatshirt for the crew. Apparently it's
He's wearing a sweated shirt.
a
like
sweated shirt. Yeah.
It's like embroidered, like it's not just silk screened. It's like got the
Right.
What is the fucking name of this episode called again?
Under your
Season
beauty, as he says. Yeah. Yeah, because his sweated shirt is particular. It's rare because it's only for season 3 or whatever. Laszlo wants one because he just
And he goes,
he wants
"That's
what he can't have."
That's a wonderful shirt. It's cotton. It's got some sort of a extra flap in the back, probably to protect him from the rain, and pout in the front, probably inspired by the kangaroo. It's probably 40% rayon. But the most important thing is, well, why does he have that shirt and I don't?
Right. I love it. Yeah, he knows it. He's like, it's probably like, yeah, like whatever, 40% cotton and 50% rayon and 10%. Like he like knows the whole thing. He's like, but yeah, the most important thing is that Nandor has it and Laszlo wants it.
I want that sweated shirt.
Yeah. They got in kind of a fight up. Like first Laszlo goes in to the sort of wardrobe, like trailer, and he has all kinds of swag, as he calls it.
Yeah, because he
That's
tells
Liz.
the wardrobe people like that the main guy has shit himself. And he needs a new pair of pants, and they're like, "We have double in the number one's pants." Like, "Oh, we gotta go." He's like, "It's a complete mess." And so they leave, and he goes in there and he finds all the stuff he wants, like a hat and a jacket and the special shirt from the show and everything. And so he's in there, like, kind of like feeling himself.
Yeah. But now Nandor is mad. He's like, "Wait, where'd you get all that?" They're just kind of one-upping each other here, and then they get
He
into
goes,
kind of a fight.
Yeah, he's like, "Someone is jealous of my swag."
Oh yeah, and then they get a kind of a tussle.
And he's like, "Get a grip." And he's like, "Don't mind if I do." And they like grab each other and they push each other. And like grip is like a thing on the set too, or whatever. I don't know if they're referencing that. But also like earlier in the episode when Colin was in the mirror, I was wondering, I was like, "Oh, they're going to show Nadja in the mirror or like not?" And that like the angle was just showing Colin. That's it, so it didn't. But then I noticed, I was like, there's mirrors in the wardrobe trailer. And I definitely like made notice to see like if the reflections were in the mirror, which of course they weren't.
They were, and there was like that was a shot that was, it must be hard to do, but literally like the walls and stuff, the stuff they were running into was moving, but they were obviously not there.
Yeah, they get into a big,
good
they
touch.
get into just a big fight, and then they kind of, I don't know how the fight ends. They just kind of stop fighting.
Yeah. So like, what? I kind of forget what happens. Does Guillermo just end up taking some of the swag or something?
Oh, okay, yeah. So like,
Yeah.
this is all very quick. So they're sitting on the couch, and they're like, "We must crush the." I wrote it down. He's like, we must drink the blood of the director. We must crush all of the best boys. Like, we shouldn't be fighting each other." And then they exit the trailer, and then another production assistant, or maybe it was even Kyle, was like, "Guys, what are you still doing here? We wrapped like a half hour ago. Like, have a good night. See you later. Like good work or whatever." Then Kevin Pollak is like kind of in the outside in the little trailer area. And Guillermo's like, "Will you please sign my zine?" And he's like, keeps asking him, like, the real action in the fandom is in the zine community. He's like trying to talk to him and stuff. And I think he asked for like a selfie or something. And then Nandor and Laszlo, like, they could kind of see like this guy's not giving Guillermo the time of day. And he goes, "Sign his program, you fucklord." And then as this is happening, because we don't want to forget the tag at the end. As this is happening, Colin Robinson is doing his Carrie Bradshaw typing, and he's typing his little thing, doing his narration. He says, "Well, I guess Nandor and Laszlo stopped their little beef, and I guess if we can stop saying cut, we can all get a little more action." And then he's like,
I love that. Oh, that's really well done.
then he's like, in this business, and they like kind of cut back to the trailers, and he says, "It's important to stay grounded." And that's when like Laszlo or Nandor like knocks down Kevin Pollak, like knocks him out pretty much, because he's like, won't give Guillermo the time of day. And then they kind of take off all their swag and give it to Guillermo because they know it'll make him so happy that he has it. And they're like done with it or whatever. And then Colin's just kind of like writing his thing, doing his narration thing, and then we have an appearance, which I'll let you take.
Oh, yeah, the appearance by the monster. And he just goes in and he just says, "Colin Robinson, shut fuck up." That's it's classic.
It's so good. The best.
It was also a great moment too that they cut in there as Nadja and Colin Robinson are walking home. One of the PAs comes up and says, "Hey, like, you can't come in here. We're shooting." And Nadja, similar to what Nandor did, grabs her by the throat and throws her up.
The thing is, both of them like threw this PA like in the same, like throws them at their own house.
Yeah.
In the same spot, like breaks her. He like breaks her neck and is like snap.
Yeah. It's just chucks. Oh man, it's another really short snap. But yeah.
That's when Colin was like, "Oh yeah, that's good advice. I guess, because Nadja's like, I guess, humans are so insecure that they just bottle up all their stuff on the inside and they just won't be freaks, and maybe that's why they're such sad little people, and they just end up squirting themselves to death. And Colin's like, those are wise words. I guess I guess you are Carrie.
That is great though. Yeah, like if I didn't, like I said, I didn't watch a lot of Sexy City, but I do know that was, and they would show like the screens what she was typing on her laptop, like show the words and stuff. But yeah, Colin Robinson, and yeah, I love his sort of like, yeah, if we like pay attention, stop yelling cut, like maybe get more action. I like it. It's really well written for something that's kind of just like a bit at the end.
And then when he goes, shut fuck up, Colin goes, file save. And even, I gotta say, like, watching Sex in the City, I was always like, oh man, like, you know how like girls go out and they drink like Cosmopolitans and stuff, and they have like a girls' night out or play pretend Sex in the City or whatever, you know what I mean? But I would always be like, oh man, like someone gets to like just sit in their house and write, and like they get to work, but they don't have to leave the house. They just get to work from home. They get to work from home. Like, wow,
Can you imagine that?
really privileged.
I know. Like, boy, she writes this column.
That's what I wanted. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be like sitting on my bed, my laptop open, my power book.
I know. I mean, imagine in that time, man, working from home, what a silly thing. It was like you could only do it if you like that episode of The Simpsons where Homer was like 400 pounds and they let him work from home. But
I don't want to look like a freak. I go with the moo.
just give me a moo. I just want to see Hulk if you're horny in peace. But anyway, yeah, I mean, that was a moment in time. It is funny they're covering all these bases, sex in the city, and just in general working on sets and stuff, show business as
Cuckoldry.
cuckoldry. Yeah, that's true. So yeah, we're coming up to 9, 10, 11. That's all that's left.
Wow.
What the
Yeah, that's
heck?
11.
Next one is called Come Out and Play. The file. IMDb says the vampires get blamed for a murder at a meeting of all the New York vampires and must find a way back to the safety of Staten Island. Oh, so we're getting serious here. Well, we'll see. That airs Monday. Not much else as far as news, but I'm very anxious. So,
yeah,
but yep,
vampires blamed for murder.
Well, a murder of who? I mean, they murder regular humans all the time. So is it like, I wonder who they murder now that it becomes a big deal?
I don't like to go too deep into it, but it looks like the Baron and the Sire will be in the next episode as well as the guide.
Yeah.
So we shall see. We shall see. We shall see. What does it say?
As they say, yes. Well,
your vamp counselors would say. We'll get there.
That's right. We do say that when we're vamping.
For a popular podcast that could sell merch, we could like make cool like Eager Beaver type like never they had like a cool.
Do you remember those sweatshirts? Yeah, like
yeah.
Like the happy little beaver kind of running.
Yeah.
Like
we'd have it was like vamp counselor on the back. It would say, "We'll get there."
I love it. Yes. Well, if they didn't suspend me from TeePublic, I'd put that up. Yeah, they did. So, but you can still listen to all of our What We Do in the Shadows podcasts on Stitcher, Spotify. Was Stitcher still a thing? I don't think so. Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts, and also over in YouTube, which is apparently a thing a lot of people are doing. A lot of people are consuming their podcasts that way. So good for them. Check us out there.
Google Podcasts. Yeah. So that's what we've been doing.
That's right.
Putting it up. We started before Google Podcasts went away, but you don't get to see our little faces unless we decide to do something special where we'll turn the cameras on. But we're old school podcasters, man. For the years.
This is fucking 15 years, Chris. So you can see all that shit, all the what we do in the shadows stuff at vampcouncil.com or leaguepodcast.com/vampcouncil. And as Clay mentioned, we also get an email address associated with that. It's called bat@vampcouncil.com. So if you want to add, oh, I've never done this one before.
Go for it. You got it.
You want to be part of the episode sort of sign off that we do.
Just read the script that's in front of you.
I I like to vamp.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you want to be part of the episode sign off where we say bat, send us a sound file to bat@vampcouncil.com.
Or feedback@leaguepodcast.com.
Feedback@leaguepodcast.com.
Or bat@vampcouncil.com.
Bat@vampcouncil.
You pretty much nailed it.
Is better. Yeah, all right. Next time I'll go with the script. Do that. And also let us know what you think or what you're thinking. And maybe we'll read on the podcast.
And we also,
No?
I think the one thing you forgot to mention, and you took my email thing, which I'm not mad about.
Well, I wanted to, mix it up.
Because I mentioned it. It was good flow because I mentioned it earlier in the episode. So it made a lot of sense. But so if you go to Facebook and you search for the Vampire Council League podcast group, there's this specifically for this podcast. We have a Facebook group, and we'd love for you to join us there. If you join us, I'll give you a cool vampire name, and you can also just that's where you can check out all the podcasts we post them in there too. So
Yes, please do that. And yeah, check out all we got. We're out there on the socials.
yeah, leave us a review, follow us, all that stuff. Are you ready to do it out? Ready to do it?
I'm ready. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm ready.
No. It's 3, 2, 1.
Well, I know, but I need to do it in the cadence, the proper cadence.
3,
But yeah,
2, 1. Okay. Let me do it for real. That was a practice.
oh, I thought that was the real thing.
No, I was. You couldn't see me kind of doing it under my breath, like I was. That was the coaching part for before. So here, I'm gonna really count it down now. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Fix it in post.
Nice.
Oh, we didn't mention that fix it in post thing, but
That's all right. We will fix it.
that was funny though when
That came, when Nandor was
he was on camera and he's like, get out of the shot, and then he jumps behind the bush. They're like, it was hiding behind the bush, and they're like, oh, you were in the shot, we'll fix it in post. And then in the post credits, Guillermo's watching it and he sees that they didn't edit it out and post it all, they just kept it in the episode. Yeah, because like he's like, was that Nandor? And then he just is like, no, that didn't really happen.
I know he wants to believe that his show is perfect and that wouldn't happen.
Well, look, we covered it.
Yeah, we covered it. Go put that back in, or you can make it a quick little thing. Whatever.
It's one of the hardest guitar pieces in the world.